At this time, I will call this regular meeting of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for February 19th, 2025 to order. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Alper.
Present.
Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Menz.
Here.
Commissioner Olson. Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Vice President Musich.
Present.
President Abeni.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. A note about the agenda for tonight, I'm moving reports of officers up in the agenda like we did at our last meeting, and it might be for the last time we'll have to do it this way. That said, the agenda is before us. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. There's one set of meeting minutes. Would somebody please move those?
I'll move the regular meeting minutes of February 5th, 2025.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. And with that, we'll move right into reports of officers. I'm going to call on Superintendent Bangura.
All right, thank you, President Abeni. I didn't make that mistake this time. And Commissioners, I'd like to, I have the privilege of inviting, calling up Chief Ohado to present an award to one of our amazing officers. And at this time, I'd like to call Chief Ohado come up and speak to this wonderful award.
Welcome, Chief Ohado. It's nice to see you tonight.
Good evening, President Abeni, Commissioner Superintendent Bangura, thank you. This is actually an award that's going to be presented to Sergeant Katie Cannon. So if Sergeant Cannon could come up, please. And then in the hallway, I'd like to invite John Kingery and Corey Southward, one of our Park Patrol agents, also into the room. They might be coming up the stairs, though.
We can wait. It's fine.
By way of introduction, Sergeant Katie Cannon is standing next to me. Sergeant Cannon has been with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board a long time. She started working in our aquatics work group as a lifeguard at North Commons Pool a long time ago, and then started working for the Park Police Department in 2007 as a Park Patrol agent. In 2008, she was promoted to police officer. She served for 10 years as a police officer before being promoted to sergeant in 2018. Since her promotion to sergeant in 2018, Sergeant Cannon has supervised our Park Patrol agent group. Our Park Patrol agents are very often aspiring police officers. Many of them are in college or just freshly graduated from college and seeking police officer jobs. And Sergeant Cannon's job is to recruit, train, schedule, and coordinate all of our Park Patrol agent work. So now I'd like to invite John Kingery from the Employer Support of Guard and Reserve to the podium, along with Park Patrol agent Corey Southward, who's also a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army Reserves. John, please come forward.
Welcome.
Madam Chairman, members. We ran upstairs here. My name is John Kingery. I'm a volunteer with the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. It's an organization underneath the Department of Defense, and so right now, actually, I'm a DoD employee, and it was formed in 1972. Its primary purpose is to encourage a culture in which employers support their service member employees. And they do that through education. We educate service members and employers on what the law says in terms of their rights and responsibilities. We also provide awards for employers and supervisors, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And then mediation. When there's a conflict between the service member and the employee, we provide no-cost, neutral mediation to resolve those conflicts. So the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve has initiated several recognition programs, and one of them is called the Patriot Award. And it's for a supervisor that goes above and beyond to recognize and support their service member employee that they're supervising. And the nomination has to be made by a service member. It doesn't just come out of the blue. And currently, we have about half of our active duty military out of the reserves. And so the reserves and the National Guard are an important part of our all-volunteer force. And by supporting service members and the employers that they supervise, that they hire, we're supporting our national security. So, Staff Sergeant Corey Southward is with the 340th Technical Support Battalion at Fort Snelling. In fact, I briefed his unit probably last fall sometime, and I thought he looked a little familiar. He's an electrician there. Corey's been deployed twice, once as a Marine. And one of the things they say is when you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. You never were a Marine, you're always a Marine. And then once in the Army Reserve, in the United States Army Reserve. He's been in military service, it'll be for 11 years in April. And in nominating Sergeant Catherine Cannon, he talked about her flexibility. One of your challenges is you've got a number of employees underneath you that are in the Guard or Reserve, and you've got to manage their schedule, and yet you've got to fill positions 24/7. It's not uncommon to get last-minute orders. Things change at the last minute, and so that certainly puts some stress on you. And also, you're real good. You've been excellent in giving your Reserve and National Guard employees sufficient time off to prepare for their duties coming up, and then their return. And also, in talking to Corey a little bit this afternoon, he said you're extremely patient. You know, when something comes up and Corey goes, I can't make it this weekend, you're not giving him a hard time. And I like to equate it to like a three-legged stool. The service member has to have the support of their family. They have to have the support of their employer, and they have to have their military education ready and prepared to use it if they're going to function in terms of their military responsibilities. So I'm now going to read the Patriot Award. The office of the, here, why don't you get in the middle here? No, you get on the other side, yeah.
And
yeah,
if you
here
can,
go.
you can stay sort of by the mic too, would be good.
The Office of the Secretary of Defense, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve recognizes Catherine Cannon, Minneapolis Park Police Department, as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force, signed by the Executive Director and the National Chair. Well, thank you. Yep. Corey, I don't know if you want to say anything, or?
I've probably been planning this for about 2 months or so, if I can recall right, and keeping it hidden from her was difficult. Trying to let her family know what was happening was just about impossible. I still haven't been able to tell them. But I know keeping it a surprise, it would be humorous, and that's why I didn't let her know until literally last minute. But through my time of being in the military, especially in the reserves, I've been critiquing all my bosses, all my supervisors, all my managers that I've been working for, whether it's in manufacturing, life insurance agent, you name it, I've probably done some type of thing for it. And this is Sergeant Cannon is pretty much the only supervisor that I've seen who's so far worthy of it in my experience. I don't do awards frequent, hardly ever. At most, I tell my guys, good job, now can keep working. I mean, don't waste money. But when someone deserves a reward, I give it to him or her.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know what to say, so.
Thank you.
President Abeni, Commissioners, thank you for the time and the recognition tonight for Sergeant Cannon.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. So with that, we can move to the reports of appointees to outside boards, commissions, or committees. Does anybody have a report they'd like to make? No? Okay. We'll move on then on the agenda to the consent business. Would somebody like to move forward with it, move the consent agenda?
I'd like to move the consent agenda as a slate.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Now we have some items coming from the Planning Committee.
I'd like to move Resolution 2025-11, a resolution approving the reference concept plan for Franklin Steele Square Playground and Play Improvements Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes.
I'd like to move Resolution 2025-15, a resolution concurring with the Federal Transit Authority's de minimis finding under Section 4F of the Transportation Act of 1966 for the Blue Line Lake Street Midtown Station renovation project adjacent to and within the park property known as Market Square.
Second.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, I think we'll go to a roll call vote. Secretary, will you take the roll?
Commissioner Elper.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President Abeni.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
Thank you, that passes.
On behalf of Administration, excuse me, and Finance Committee, I'd like to move Resolution 2025-13, resolution approving a lease agreement with Sundhet LLC leasing commercial space at 1828 Marshall Street Northeast, Units 8, 10, and 19, located within the Above the Falls Regional Park for a term of 1 year, effective March 1st, 2025.
Second.
I heard a second from Commissioner Musich. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Elper.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President Abeni.
Aye,
You have 9 ayes.
that passes.
I would also like to move Resolution 2025-28, a resolution approving Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement, COM 00073362, with West 8 Urban Design and Landscape Architecture PC for bridge and landscape architectural design services at 26th Avenue North Overlook, located in the Falls Regional Park in the amount of $42,729, resulting in a new contract total of $292,729, and the addition of $47,000 for additional community engagement and permit regulation planning, and amending the 2025 capital improvement plan to reallocate $89,729 from the North Mississippi Regional Park for plan implementation to Above the Falls Regional Park for plan implementation.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Turn
On
to-
behalf of the Standards and Conduct Committee, I would like to move Resolution 2025-16. This is a resolution amending the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board Rules of the Board, Section 15.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. So we're chugging right along here. We're down into petitions and communications already, so first I'm going to start with Commissioner Alper.
Pass.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes, I'll just mention that I've received a lot of emails and phone calls, a lot, about the Lake of the Isles closing, and I just want to publicly say I am reading through them all and responding as quickly as I can. Thank you.
Commissioner Menz?
Thank you, President Forney. Yeah, I've also been getting a lot of emails. Oh, sorry, President Abeni. Gosh, I keep getting it wrong. So a lot of work on the ice this year, and I think that we're going to have to really re-examine that. I'm getting a lot of feedback on that as well. I also get a lot of feedback on the gyms closing early from individuals. And then lastly, I've been getting a lot of information and feedback on our centralized registration system, which you'll probably hear from some folks in the community tonight about it, that really pushes, for me personally as a commissioner, this is very important that we get this right. And I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, that this board, that our organization is willing and able to get this right in a way that we can move forward where we don't feel like anybody is being excluded. And I think that it's really important for us to make sure that even if our intentions are to include, if the impact is feeling exclusive, then we have to address that. And we have to figure out ways to make sure that inclusivity and everybody feeling welcome in these events is really important. I've been going around to gyms. I've been just taking some time and going to gyms on Saturdays, seeing how it's going. I mean, it sort of was precipitated by, there was a gun pulled at Logan Park. So I went over there about an hour later, just made sure that the referees were okay and that everybody was fine. But these gyms on Saturdays, if you haven't been, you should go. There is so much activity and action going in, but they don't run perfectly. We do have some issues where we could tighten some things up, and I'm hoping that centralized registration can help that. But we also have to not be blind to when what we're doing might be changing in a way that could be unintentionally ineffective. So as one of the commissioners on this board and someone who ran on youth sports a lot, and I'm really excited about change in the recreation system because the old way wasn't working either, that if anybody's interested in working on that, I know Commissioner Rucker has expressed interest, there may be some work coming forward to make sure that centralized registration can be successful long-term. But I think we're going to have to address some short-term problems right now in order to ensure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Pass.
Commissioner Rucker?
Yeah, also, I'm piggyback on Commissioner Manns. I've been getting flooded with calls about centralized registration. I have a soft place in my heart because I used to coach at Police Athletic League. A great program. I'm pretty sure you guys have great programs as well. I just hope we can come to a medium where the outside agencies are allowed. Because for me, looking back on how I grew up, Hospitality House, different organizations, Jerry Gamble's that was in the black neighborhoods, those are the only places where we could go because of the redlining. We couldn't go outside of the red line. So those were the pillars of our community. And I just hope we can come to a meeting because I know the kids will still be able to participate, but you're taking away, if we go forward with this, we're taking away the word I'm looking for is taking away their identity. Thank you. Their identity of these organizations that's been around for years. And even though, say, Hospitality House sends their kids to, I'll just say a park, Bethune. It's not gonna be Hospitality House, Bethune is just gonna be Bethune. So their identity is being washed away all these years of being a positive influence on a lot of families, generations. Like I said, I just hope we can come to some type of meeting when it comes to outside agencies.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson,
Pass.
Commissioner Forney.
Thank you. I attended the Downtown Council's annual meeting luncheon today. And it started out with our city poet laureate, Hyde Yeardwood's poem, which I have to say, I don't have a copy of it, but it was laced with park amenities throughout of it. They went on then to talk about what they refer to as the irresistible vibe. And throughout that, our parks were highlighted. So it's something that to me, I feel is really important. We all know the grave situation we are in financially because of the decreased valuation of commercial property, particularly in downtown. And in the report that they've done, I think it's called Redesign, whatever, of downtown, they keep, our fingerprints are all over it. And so what I'm saying is we have a responsibility. The burden right now of our revenue, which is what 80% of our revenue comes from real estate taxes, is now falling on the residential properties instead of commercial. And so to me, I want to be at the table with the Downtown Council to see how we can bring that vibrancy back to the downtown and get those commercial properties back to the valuation and take that burden off of our residential properties. So I just want you to know that's something I'm going to be very involved with in the next year. I also want to thank you all for channeling me so much in the last meeting, particularly Commissioner Thompson. It was very much appreciated. Your sharing, the dramatic reading was beyond my imagination. Anyway, and upon that, I know I'm no longer the president. Just want to remind everybody, I'm no longer the president, no longer the president, no longer the president. Okay, anyway, but I will continue to embarrass you all. And upon that, I know it was last weekend, but I would like to embarrass, or shall I say, acknowledge Cliff Swenson. His birthday was last weekend, and I'm very grateful that he's here. Anyway, we have a card for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Musich.
I'll pass.
And I will pass. And so we're going to recess this meeting for a little while, and we'll be coming back to open time. So our open time is at 5:30, and we start it right at 5:30 in case people sign up just prior to the meeting. So with that, we'll turn it over to Admin and Finance, but we'll come back at 5:30 for open time.
Okay, the time being 5:23, I would like to call the meeting of Administration and Finance to order. Secretary Ringel, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Elper.
Present.
Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Vice Chair Schaefer.
Here.
Chair Thompson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would someone like to move our agenda for approval? Excuse me. I'll move our
I'll move it.
agenda. All those in favor of our agenda as listed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Would someone like to move our minutes?
I will move the minutes of February 5th, 2025.
Thank you. All those in favor of including the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have minutes. Would someone like to move our first action item?
I'll move Resolution 2025-31. Resolution amending the 2024 capital improvement program to change Fuller Park wading pool and site improvements to Fuller Park plan implementation without modification of funding sources and amounts.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question? Like to see a presentation? President Abeen. No, sorry, Abeni. Kidding. I'm joking.
Thank you, Chair Thompson. I'm not on this committee, but I would just speak in favor of this. This is in my district, and I think this is really the right thing to do. Waiting for the wading pool to, completely be non-functional is not working. So we're going to redirect the money and put it into other park amenities through a community engagement process. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Seeing no other lights, let's take this to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-31, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution carries. Would someone like to move our next one?
I will move Resolution 2025-34. Resolution approving a 3-year license agreement with Sound Thinking, Inc. for installation and maintenance of spot shot or gunshot detection and location system at Loring Park, Phelps Field Park, East Phillips Park, Phillips Community Center, North Commons Park, and Farview Park.
Thank you. Would anyone like to see a presentation on this or hear a little more? Can we get something, an overview before we might hit open time of this new shot spotter idea? Thank you so much. Sorry, Christine. Downey, please welcome.
Chair Thompson, I don't have a presentation prepared for this. I didn't have any questions for.
It is okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, do you have any specific questions I can answer?
I did have just one of how, just like sort of the genesis of where this agreement came from, so we can understand it a little bit better. Because it's new, that's my understanding? Yeah.
That is correct. I believe there are other of these types of shot spotters in the park system already, but I was going to actually defer to Chief Ohato about that. But this was something that was brought forward to me from Chief Ohato, and they're interested in, and he agreed with it and was asking that it come forward. The locations are not specified because of the attorney recommending that it be something data public, so it wouldn't be available to the public. So
that makes sense. Thank you. Does anyone else seeing no other lights? Oh, yes, Commissioner Menz.
Thank you. I'm not on this committee, but I was a little interested in this particular resolution. So there's no sites specified as where we have this in our parks right now?
I unfortunately am not aware. I wasn't involved in that other agreement, but it's my understanding there are some existing ones, but perhaps Chief Ohato could let me know. I'm not sure.
Chief, would you be willing to speak to that?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, these agreements are not handled within the police department. I was under the assumption that these were held in the planning division. I'm aware of only one other location in the park system where I know that there was a shot spotter receptacle, and that was at, I believe, Falwell Park. This most recent agreement is more expansive. It's certainly around the city endeavoring to have greater coverage, especially in the downtown area. Loring Park, I know, was a site that we heard early and often from the city when they requested this.
And can you clarify, like, so this will detect where a shot came from when it comes? Is that what the technology is going to be doing for the police department?
The technology triangulates the sound of gunshots, and it provides real-time information to 911 about where those gunshots are happening. They are also recorded and used as evidence in all sorts of cases involving gunfire.
And from what I could tell, this is at no cost to us.
That's
to install this technology is at no cost to install onto these buildings. Is there a particular reason why those locations were chosen?
Commissioner Menz, Chair Thompson. Unfortunately, I was not given any information regarding that, and it just was something that was coordinated with Sound Thinking. And as I said, this wasn't something that a matter in which I had pursued, but was sort of given to me to negotiate the agreement. But my understanding that it is sort of a partnership with our police department also. So.
Thanks for going on the fly. Thanks for doing that on the fly. I appreciate that.
My apologies.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, we have 1 minute, so let's take this to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-34, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution carries, and I believe it would be wise to recess our last resolution to go back to the full board.
And with that, I'll reopen the full board meeting, reconvene it, I suppose, and we'll start our open time process. So first I'll read a few rules, and then we'll get a list of names of people who've signed up to speak. So thanks to those of you who have come to speak during tonight's open time. The board's open time rules are as follows. I will call on people from the speaker list only. Names are added to the speaker list by calling in before 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting or by adding it in person at the board meeting before 5:30 p.m. The time allotted for all speakers shall not exceed 15 minutes. I don't know the number of speakers yet, but when I do, I'll let you know how much time each speaker will get. There's a timer above me, so please watch the timer and stay within your allotted time once I articulate what that is. This is an opportunity for you to address the board. We're listening, but we don't respond. That said, please don't hesitate to contact any of the commissioners for dialogue and further discussion. To protect the privacy of individuals, please refrain from commenting on specific personnel issues or pending litigation. Discriminatory or harassing words directed at anyone will not be tolerated, and each speaker is asked to state their name and address or where they live. And with that, I have to wait for the sign-up list here. Okay, sure, thank you. Okay. We have 16 people signed up, so we're going to give each person a minute. And again, you can reach out to any of us too, and with email or phone calls too. So I'll start with, reading from the top of the list. The first speaker is Edward Davis, followed by Jim Halber. Edward Davis, followed by Jim Halber.
How y'all doing? My name is Edward Davis, and I represent Farview Park. I'm a head coach for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teams at Farview Park. We have an outside entity, but we still go under Farview. We've been getting from our park director that we can have traveling basketball teams because it has to be under central registration next year, and they have to play park board or nothing. I have 6th, 7th, 8th grade players who are elite basketball players, and the Park and Rec league is not good enough for them to excel or play in. The traveling leagues that we do play in, it helps my boys get ready for the next level, which is high school, college, so on and so forth. Taking away the traveling basketball. Oh, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Jim Halber, followed by Janet Holloway.
Hey, good evening. My name again is Jim Halber, Minneapolis Park and Rec, Minneapolis Phelps Activities Council. We register, help fund, coach, and help arrange transportation as needed over 300 youth, mostly youth of color, many who play in Minneapolis Park and Rec sports. Of my 20 years serving MPRB or Phelps, the community, we've engaged MPRB sports. I've kind of seen some decisions made throughout those 20 years that youth sports have been created barriers that have alienated kids of color, and that feels like bullying and an abuse of power. Here's some examples. About 15 years ago, I got a call from a vendor at a Gopher State trade show. It said MPRB staff pointed at his sports video playing on the screen and said to a colleague, "I kicked them out of my league." This was said of a football team that had played in MPRB that previous season. City Council had to step in and correct that wrong. A few years later, MPRB staff was going to charge outside agencies $25 a player, and that had to get corrected. What I'm saying is this central registration kind of seems like the same kind of like an overstep of power, and it needs to get corrected. Thanks.
Thank you. Janet Holloway, followed by Leah Hale, I believe.
Hi, I'm Janet Holloway, 1909 James Avenue South. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to request that you retain funding for operating Lake of the Isles skating rink next year and going forward. I'm not here by myself. As of a week and a half, 1,700 people have signed a petition to continue operations at Lake of the Isles in a week and a half. And I think that really speaks to the community's interest in keeping the rink operating. It's the only rink on a lake, not on land. Page 50 of the Lake of the Isles master plan that you approved calls for preservation of that rink. And so the thought of hearing that it might be closed due to budget issues is deeply concerning to the 1,700 people who have signed on to this petition. So I ask that you engage the community. Climate change is a reality. If there are to be any changes, please engage us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name is, last name Hale, I believe, possibly Leah. And then after that is Sharon Chamberlain.
So, good evening, you guys. So first of all, I just want you guys to know that these new rules with the park boards are directly affecting the indigenous community. We have our Red Bears who play basketball, baseball, and volleyball with the park board. We are being discriminated against on our own lands. We're being told we're outsiders because we're not part of the park board league. Bullshit. You know, I say bullshit. This is our land, our team. Are all indigenous, and I feel like it's racism at its finest to tell us our kids can't play because they won't sign up at East Phillips or one of your other parks. You need to nip this in the bud before it gets out of hand. And I'm also going to end a little bit earlier because I want to remind you all that this is an election year and my people vote. We will vote you out if you don't let our kids play.
Sharon Chamberlain, followed by Mike Tate.
Hi, this is kind of emotional. I am a youth worker for all of these kids right here. I have 4 birth kids in Red Bears, and then I have about 10 kids that call me mom. And at this point, you guys are taking like their life away. They don't associate everywhere else. Everybody says it starts at home, but you're taking our home away. This makes no sense. We're trying to start them at home so that, like him, we can move them bigger. We can move them higher. We can actually do something with them. Get them into college, push them out of the community a little bit. When we travel to native tournaments. My son is at Augsburg. He is not playing professional basketball. He's not playing college basketball. But thanks to Mukwa and thanks to the Red Bears, he's got to travel. He's got to see other states because I was poor. I'm a North Side resident that let him go to the South Side to play so that he could have a place to call home. So he felt loved. So he had a family. And now he's at Augsburg being successful, working with the Boys and Girls Club, thanks to Red Bears having a home for him. I ask you guys to please reconsider and understand that our family is our family.
Mike Tate, followed by Stephen Johnson.
As many of you know, I come with my props, right? I got a bag of joy right there for all who wants to play, okay? It's just, and one thing that's missing, a basketball. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about learning how to play pickleball over there at Stephanie's place where she goes, or going to play tennis where these new tennis courts are at, or just being outside with the children. I've asked you 99 times to hold this staff and yourselves accountable to the mission of the children, which is get from behind those doors and get outside and play with the children. I don't care if it's tiddlywinks. Get outside and do your jobs. We pay you too much money for you to live on the back of us volunteers anymore. Stop it. We pay you to play with the children. Stop this, and we hold you accountable because you can make the policies to make them accountable in those buildings. Thank you very much.
Stephen Johnson, followed by Tom Lockerman.
How y'all doing? My name's Steve Johnson. I was a youth football coach for North Common for about 20 plus years. And all I can say is either the kids is at Phelps, kids at Hospitality House, when we have to play against, we still know these kids. Every kid is not going to go to a Minneapolis park just to play a sport, you know. So removing these these other places out of the system is just not right. And one thing I also want to say is I've seen youth sport just steady decline, especially in football. And I don't know, nobody has no reason why football equipment, why the sports is steady declining. And now I'm hearing parks ain't even gonna have no football teams at all this upcoming season because of the decisions that's being made behind closed doors. All right, something's got to change.
Tom Lackermany, followed by Amers Dotson.
Name's Tom Lockmeyer, live at 1235 Vincent Avenue North. Lived in North Minneapolis for almost 22 years. My kids played t-ball at North Commons. I coached my son at Farview Park in football. We played North Commons. When I leave here, which will be shortly, I've got to take my daughter to Jerry Gamble's because they opened up their space so Northside girls can play volleyball. My daughter's played volleyball against the Red Bears. It was an amazing experience. My son played football against Phelps Park. Coached a number of Phelps Park kids at North High School. I'm a teacher at North High. I'm a coach at North High. What this is doing is it's destroying community. It should not matter if you have invested adults who are going to pour into kids. It should not matter. If we have space, let them play. Right. Because I'm going to tell you what happens at North High School. I coach the kids. Anthony, now I'm coaching him over there. And now we don't have kids coming anymore to North because there's no park board feeder system.
Thank you.
Amers Dotson, followed by Anthony Celine.
My name is Anaris Dotson. I'm from Minneapolis. I go to North. I used to play park board in St. Paul for Johnson. They have like a junior varsity team, and we like integrated with like the suburban leagues, and like we seen a lot of success. Like teams were more invested in playing for like the park board teams because we were partnered with the suburban teams, and it felt like that was something that needed to be established. Like it helped us it molded us into better competition and what we would be faced to play in the higher levels, being high school, college is being ready for the next level. That's it.
Thank you. Anthony Leline, followed by Anthony Palmer.
Hello, my name's Anthony DeLine. I go to North High School. I'm a junior. And growing up, I lived in Minneapolis. I played at North Commons. One of my coaches here, Coach Talley, Coach Steve, Coach Bud. And playing sports at a park board, I feel like builds character for kids. And it really helped. Like right now in high school, I'm not gonna say like I'm having the best time, but it really helped me become a man and get better at like being ready for trials and tribulations through life. And I feel like taking that away from the kids is just doing bad and hurting the community. And it's what the kids need. The sports, the coaches, the love for the sports, the relationship with the coaches, it just all comes together. And if you really care about the community, then you're not going to take it away.
Thank you. Anthony Palmer, followed by Charles Moses.
My name is Anthony Palmer. I live in North Minneapolis, and traveling teams, it's like it builds like character and community, like my teammate Ant said. And I played for a lot of traveling teams, and it just helped me become like the man I am today, and like helped me get out the house and connect with my community to show who I really am and not just hide myself and be who I am. And it helped me a lot. That's it.
Thank you. Charles Moses, followed by Naisha Edwards.
If you're here in the audience tonight, and if you're opposed to centralized registration, I'm gonna ask you to please stand. Please stand. My name is Charles Moses. I'm the Executive Director at Hospitality House Youth Development. I want to thank Mr. Tate because he and I have been down here every meeting since the first of this new year in opposition against this. And Mr. Tate, you said you had a hard time getting 4 or 5 people down to these meetings, but I think tonight the community has your back and the community stands together. Centralized registration Centralized registration is disgusting. I invite all of you down to 1220 Logan Avenue this evening. Hospitality House is hosting a Black History event. Otherwise, there would be about 150 more people in our presence. But as a leader, I was torn tonight if we teach our children Black history or if we make Black history here at this center. But this is an event that's been months, all year into planning. We will be back here March 5th, and I will have my whole entire organization here. We need to do the right thing. We need to put this thing to vote, and we need to speak and stand together as a community. We will not allow you to come in and do this to us without consequence.
Naisha Edwards, followed by Al Flowers Jr.
I just want to say, as a parent, my children look forward to going to the hospitality house to play basketball. My kids love competing every week. My kids love socializing with the other kids. And like they said, it does build a character. A lot of kids nowadays don't really talk. They do a lot of phone activity, social media. This actually gets them off of that and, actually doing, playing basketball, learning sports, doing things. And the coaches there have a passion. We don't live in a park board neighborhood, so we bring them there. I drive them there. They have a ball, and they look forward to it. So taking it away, you actually taking it away from children that actually looks forward to it. So think about that at night.
Thank you. Al Flowers Jr., followed by, after Al Flowers Jr., Ruth Buffalo.
Thank you. I'm Al Flowers Jr. I'm a Southside resident. Can I get my ducks to come up here with me, please? And everybody else that's up here against Central Regional Station, come up here with me. I just want to say I came up here. This is my 4th time coming up here speaking. And I think one of the things that you guys have heard through the children, now the parent came, and also these coaches, is these intentional relationships that are built with these children at a very young age to ensure that we can keep these young folks doing something productive in their society so we keep them from outside the streets. I'm not going to sit here and allow for y'all to say that you passed a centralized registration that's based on equity and that's based on fairness, and yet the two communities that's being left out has been historically discriminated against when we're talking about the African American and our indigenous community, that they are the ones that's going to be left out of this process that you call equity in a time where the administration is trying to roll back things like DEI, and I didn't think the park board was this type of place. I did not think Minneapolis would be this type of area, but I can clearly see, based on the faces that here, that the children that's in this building right now don't affect y'all because we don't have enough representation. We will not stop. We will come back. This right here is a light showing. We'll be back March 5th with hopefully a resolution where we all can come together and there's nobody left out. Thank you.
And finally, Ruth Buffalo.
Dosha, Madashi, Ruth Madegadi heads, Madashi, Mia Adesh heads, Mabe Sigids. Hello, it's a good day to be here with you. I stand in support of our youth, all youth, especially our Native youth, our Black and Brown youth, as you know or may not know, have such higher rates of suicide and all the other unhealthy things that unfortunately impact our communities by design. Basketball, I know as a former college basketball coach for United Tribes Technical College, I was also a former college basketball player, also was expected to play professional women's basketball. Years later, played semi-pro later in life and still play the game that so many of us love. You know, basketball has a huge part of our communities. It's a huge protective factor, prevention, and so I hope that you'll do the right thing. And it might be maybe easier for you on a management scale to do something centralized, but as you can see, we have to listen to the people. Our futures depend on it. Our children depend on it, and that's why we made an extra effort to be here tonight. Please do the right thing. The Red Bear team is a beautiful team that deserves to continue helping save lives. Help save lives. Madzigidad, Nakpaga. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our open time. And with that, I will adjourn the regular meeting of the full board, and turn it back over to Chair Thompson.
I will reconvene the Administration and Finance Committee. Would someone like to move our last resolution?
I'll move resolution 2025-39. Resolution updating the naming policy to include review by the Board of Commissioners prior to initiating the public hearing process for nominations.
Does anyone have any questions about that? Commissioner Forney.
Yes, thank you, Chair Thompson. I appreciate this resolution. What I'm interested in knowing is what would we anticipate the impact of the naming nominations that are, shall I say, in the queue?
That is an excellent question. I will leave that to Deputy Superintendent Ringgold.
Thank you, Chair Thompson and Commissioner Forney. I thought I would come up here just in case I need to bring the PowerPoint presentation up. I think it would impact future nominations, but it wouldn't impact existing nominations. However, if you wanted it to do so, you could certainly provide a commissioner amendment to impact existing nominations. So there are several that have started to make their way through the public hearing process. So those are the ones in particular that if you wanted to include those, probably need some direction. We have one that we've received, but we haven't started acting on that, and that is actually one, I believe it's Dinky Park is the recommendation, and that's for the Marcy home. So this one would impact that. So that would come before you before that would start the nomination process.
And just further, I can't remember, I think we have about 10 in the queue, is that about right?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Forney, not 10, but you do. But the one you will see most quickly is Excel Field to Excel Energy Park. That one will come up in March. The second public hearing for the Rick Recker Trail will come up here shortly. We do have an Al Whitman one that is still pending. And then I believe at your next board meeting, there will be a study item regarding Sibley Park and some thinking that we have in terms of how to move forward there. And then there's the renaming of Cipro Park to Parque Monarca. Yeah. So those are the ones I can recall off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Would anyone like to see a presentation on this, or are we, or maybe feeling a certain type of way? Thank you so much. I appreciate the work on this. This was a little bit by my request, by request of admin and finance to make this a little more streamlined for those of us up here, whomever serves, to make it a little easier place to discuss. Seeing no lights, all those in favor of resolution 2025-39, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution carries, and with that, I will adjourn admin and finance. And I think, is that all she wrote?
Before 6 o'clock at
Well, no.
5:53, I will convene the planning committee.
No.
Why do I have a planning?
We have it too, that's why I was
And I
like,
didn't have an admin. Okay, well, then I will
we'll wait.
adjourn it.
Thank you, Meg.
I was wondering.
You were looking at, was that an old one? Is that like from last week? It was still on your table?
No, because we were supposed to have a public hearing, but we didn't have enough time.
Oh, I see.
That was it, okay.
Because I only had one, you